Hey guys, it's the Ramos Online here, and before we start today's video, I just want to say that I've got a few announcements that will be at the end of this video. So once the battle is over, please stick around and then you'll be able to hear my announcements that I am announcing. So, yeah. So anyway, on with the battle. It's against Gur on YouTube. He is Ravage the Legend, and I believe he is a fan of mine, and he challenged me to a battle, and I was more than happy to oblige. And let me be honest, calling you guys fans still feels really weird, but I guess that kind of is what you guys are. So anyway, he leads with Houdini the Sableye, and I lead with Euphemia. I predicted he'd lead with Sableye because he probably thought my lead was going to be Candy the Ambipom. So he instantly has to switch that Houdini out if he wants it to not die to a Hyper Voice. And he goes into Scourge V4. I'm not sure what the V4 means, but he goes into Scourge. Euphemia does Mega Evolve. Now this is my timid Gardevoir, so she is very quick, especially once she Mega Evolves, and that Hyper Voice deals more than half. I go for another Hyper Voice just to prevent him from switching into something to eat a Psychic type move, because he did have two Dark types and they would completely eat up any Dark type moves. Second, Hyper Voice does take Scourge down, and he then goes into Immobilizer. An Iron Head is obviously coming, and that thing is going to hurt. So I now go into Candy. I thought Candy was holding my Focus Sash, but apparently she wasn't holding any item. So that is a big mistake on my part. Not to worry though, because she does eat that Iron Head well and survives. He then goes back into Houdini to completely eat up my Fake Out. So that is a brilliant predict from Gur or Ravage. Going to the Will-O-Wisp, which now does shut Candy down entirely. I went for the Aerial Ace, but what I really should have done was the Thief. But I wasn't aware that I wasn't holding an item. I could have sworn that Candy was holding something. But anyway, so he gets some Lefty's recovery and I take some burn damage. Candy is now pretty much useless. She has just switched in fodder, so now I've just got to wait for something else to take her out so I can switch something in healthily. Healthily, is that a word? It's a word now. So he brings back Immobilizer, and I wait for the Thief here, and as you can see, I steal the Truffle Berry. So that thing is now going to be open to fighting type moves. Truffle Berry on that thing, that's just pretty clever. So I now go into Vanilla. I'm not sure what I wanted to do. I think I went to Vanilla because she had fire type moves. What I really should have done was gone into Mimi. So because now the Gooey gets off, and he gets a Defiant boost, which is basically a 3 Swords Dance. So I do go for the Flamethrower on that turn, which doesn't take it out. What I should have done here was switched her out, because if I switched her out, she would not have died to Sucker Punch. And I would have got, as you're going to see the next turn, I would have got off the next move, which does take this thing down. So he gets another Speed Drop and another Defiant boost. Poor Vanilla didn't get to do much in this battle other than boost this thing to the sky. In comes Rira! And he is going to go for that Sucker Punch, which is going to fail because I went for the Leech Seed. I predicted that Sucker Punch brilliantly. I'm pretty sure that was the only thing he could hit me with, because Iron Head definitely wouldn't have KO'd. Even with all those boosts, I do resist Steel type moves, and that Leech Seed is going to be enough to take it out, and it goes back into Houdini. This is where the RNG goes crazy. So he goes for Taunt, but I've run Sableye before, and I know it carries Taunt, so rather than go for the Leech Seed, I went straight for the Scald, and I get the burn! That was kind of like a little Bernie jingle there. Da, 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 da. So anyway, he takes some Lefty's damage, Lefty's recovery, and then some burn damage. And he decides to switch Houdini out. He could have really messed me up with Will-O-Wisp, but I guess he didn't want to lose Houdini so quickly, and he goes into the Blue Meanie. I do go for that Scald, and I get another burn! I sang a bit too quickly there, but as you can see, he is now also burned. There is some crazy RNG going on right here. So I here go for the Giga Drain, but I'm quite surprised to find Blue Meanie is going to move first. So as you can see, he goes for the Ice Beam. There. And RNG, why? Now I'm frozen. I make some silly plays here because I completely forgot that Scald melts the frozen status. If you are frozen, you Scald and you are freed from the freeze. So he does take some burn damage, and Laura's taunt does wear off, and he decides to switch out and go into Archimon, which is his Weavile. I like the World of Warcraft reference there. Archimon, the tree humper. So I take some Lefty's recovery, but I am still frozen because I went for the Giga Drain again rather than the Scald to free myself. And he does go for the Swords Dance. My ice does melt, as you can see, thanks to the Scald, and I do get that Scald off. Do not get the burn here, unfortunately. That was a shame. Getting some more Lefty's recovery. And I decide to recall Laura here, and I go into Fua, who is my glorious physical tank. I cannot get over how tanky Furfrou is. I literally can't cope with its tankiness. You see, 2 Swords Dance, and I eat a brick break. So I take some Citrus recovery, and I went for the return on this turn, dealing some nasty damage, not quite enough to take it out, but Fua has Sucker Punch! And that is going to be enough to break through Weavile's defences, and down goes Archimon. Really should have used Jiraxxus. I don't like facing Jiraxxus. Anyone get the reference? No? Okay. So I just go for the return here, just to get some damage on Blue Meanie, but its high base defences do block most of that damage, and it gets off a super effective ability boosted Aura Sphere, and down Fua goes. But I can just go and do this. Woo! It's back into Laura! I don't know why that went high pitched there. He goes for the Rapid Spin, and that is obviously not going to do anything to Laura. I went for the Leech Seed. Maybe he thought he'd outspeed and shake off the Leech Seed. Can Rapid Spin remove Leech Seed? I don't know if it can. So anyway, I get some Lefty's recovery, and I'm going to get some Leechy's recovery as well. So I am now at full health. Really, I have a few other special tanks, but none of them are as amazing as Laura. Ludicolo, best special wall ever. He goes for the Ice Beam. I don't know, maybe trying to get a Freeze Hacks again, and I just go straight for the Scald, because I knew that it was not going to survive. I could have gone for the Giga Drain, but I wanted to Scald it just in case he switched into something else, because Giga Drain isn't as strong as Scald, or is it? I'm going to have to look at the moves again. Anyway, here switches into a Barricade, his Tyranitar. How did I forget that name? I don't know how. Sandstorm goes up, and I go with the Leech Seeds. And unfortunately, he's going to get a critical hit with this Crunch, if I remember correctly. Yeah, look at that. Ooh, that was nasty. And with the Sandstorm up, my Synthesis is not going to restore nearly as much as it could have normally. So, I'm going to get some Leechy's recovery and some Lefty's recovery. Kind of waiting for all these between turn things to go off. So I'm going to get off the Synthesis. I do move faster than Tyranitar, which is surprising. As you can see, I do not restore that much HP, and he goes for Pursuit. He assumed I was going to switch out there. I didn't. Now, I wasn't sure whether I would be able to heal more HP using Synthesis or Giga Drain. Then I remembered that Sandstream or Sandstorm does increase Rock-type special defense by like 50% or something, or doubles it. I can't remember. I have to look at I don't work with Sandstorm, so I'm not sure what it does for Rock types. And as you can see, that Giga Drain does absolutely nothing. I recover hardly any HP, and that Crunch is unfortunately going to be enough to finish Laura. Oh dear, down she goes. She might have survived if I went for Synthesis, but I didn't. So here was a good time for me to bring in Mimi. The obvious play was to switch out and go into his Houdini, which he does do, but I was like, well, I got nothing to lose. I have practically won this battle now, because I still have Euphemia in the back, who is at full HP. So, after all this between turn damage and stuff, come on, he's going to take some Lefty's recovery and then get burned. Come on! So I would do recall Mimi here, and I go into Euphemia, who is still at 100%. I was saving Euphemia for the rest of the battle, and as you can see, it's really going to pay off. Goes for the Will-O-Wisp. I'm starting to think this Sableye does not have any way of attacking. because it never, not once does it use an attack. Ravage, if you're watching this, I really suggest having foul play on a Sableye. It really helps punish Pokemon that punish people and Pokemon that try to set up Swords Dance and other things. So he is going to switch Houdini out, but even with Sandstorm, even if this was a specially defensive Tyranitar in the Sandstorm, Hyper Voice would have KO'd it. It is that strong, I think. I can't run calcs in my brains. But I get the critical hit there, which I know didn't matter because I would have outspeeded it the next turn, even if by some miracle it didn't die. All he has left now is Houdini, and the game is now pretty much mine. He goes for the taunt, again telling me he probably doesn't have any moves at all, and the Hyper Voice is going to be more than enough to finish Houdini off. That was a really fun battle, Ravage. If I remembered correctly, and if I'm remembering wrong, I'm going to look stupid and embarrass myself. But I think you were the guy who said you was going for like a military service or something. If it is you, then good luck out there, and I guess we'll see you again. In, is it 2 years? Military service normally goes on for like 2 years or something. So anyway, thank you very much for the battle. Stay tuned for more, and remember, if you liked what you saw, like, favourite, and subscribe. You still watching? You guys still here? Good. So, those announcements I had. The first announcement is that Ramos Recommends is now going to be changed to Ramos Reviews. The main reason for this change is that I realised that all of my recommendation videos tended to just have like a minority of its content dedicated to a recommendation. Most of it was just going through the Pokemon stats, abilities, stat distributions, the moves it could learn, and so on and so on. Only a tiny bit of it was actually my recommendation. So what I'm going to be doing is changing it to Ramos Reviews, and Ramos Recommends will become a tiny end segment to Ramos Reviews. So keep your eyes out for that. The second thing I wanted to announce is that while Delcatty is definitely a Pokemon I am looking at, and as you saw I did release a trailer for my Delcatty guide, Delcatty will probably not be the next guide I do. Again, the main reason for this is because a lot of people have suggested, if I can talk properly, other Pokemon like Pikachu, Seaking, and Sudowoodo, and I already have these Pokemon fully evolved, EV trained, and ready to go. So they will probably be the ones you see before Delcatty, but don't worry, Delcatty is definitely coming. That cat is going to be amazing. If you know anything about Volicify and his Drifblim, then you probably have a rough idea of what I'm doing with Delcatty. But that's just one of the recommendations I'm suggesting for it. Stay tuned for more and you will see exactly what I'm doing with that crazy cat. So thank you for watching, and I will see you guys next time.